Awesome. Well, thank you for being here and talking with us. I guess my intro to all of this, I myself am an engineer, and about 6-7 years ago, I got into the startup community, and I started going to a bunch of hackathons, and I saw a couple companies, Twilio and SendGrid, when they were really, really young, API-focused companies, and seeing 6-7 years later that the API strategy, integrations, SDKs were the path for them to go to an IPO. So I'm very interested to learn a little bit more about your experience. Can you tell us a little bit about what you're doing before you're at Dashlane, at Amex, and how that informed your position now?
Absolutely. Hey guys, it's awesome to be here. So as Scott mentioned, I started my career at American Express. They hired a 20-year-old out of college with a degree in food marketing, and somehow that became digital new product development. And I was really lucky to be working for a senior leader who was super passionate about just getting products out in the market, doing proof of concepts, not taking 2 years to come up with an idea, work it through the systems, get it out there, and then see what happens. Now, we moved super fast. He was also self-aware enough to know that Amex is, a very large, layered, hierarchical company. I say that lovingly. I had a great time there, but no one's ever going to describe it as nimble, right? So one of the things that he first got me going on was strategic partnerships as a way to digital new product development. So within my first role there, I was doing partnerships with startups because that was the fastest way we could get new products to market. So Amex would bring the scale, the brand, usually the money behind it, and our startup partners were bringing the tech and the speed. I absolutely loved this. I loved working with the passion of startups, how fast we could get things to market, but I also liked the kind of navigating Amex and figuring out how I could make those deals as big as possible. So I ended up doing that for about 5 years in a bunch of different roles. I did a VC investment in one of my roles there, which was a really cool experience. And then about 2 years ago, Dashlane, this company I'd never heard of, reached out to me looking for someone that knew how to navigate big banks and the large network businesses that wanted to jump to a startup. And I had seen their tech, and I quit my job 2 weeks later on the spot immediately. I knew it was a game changer. I was in there signing deals within 3 weeks. So today, as Scott said, I head up our strategic partnerships. We have a lot of partners with banks, insurance companies, big tech giants like Intel. My overall goal is to sign marketing, product, and now tech deals that will take us from the 10 million users we have today to 100 million to 200 million, really transforming us from a password manager app that people kind of know about to what we call a digital identity company.
Yeah, so that's actually my next question. What is that evolution? So you've been known as like a password manager app for a while.
Yeah.
How do you go through this process of figuring out, hey, we have this technology, we have this piece of what we have, let's like package this up into another product that we can sell B2B? How did you come to that product decision?
Yeah, my boss and I were hired to run partnerships about 2 years ago, and he was former Square and Visa, I was former Amex, so we started with what we knew. We went to a bunch of banks and we said, we have this really cool product. It's a password manager. It also has a digital wallet. It does some cool stuff. We were able to secure a lot of marketing deals with guys like, Intel, Visa, SoGen, a lot of these big banks, partially because we had the connections, but we also had a very specific reason that they would want their customers using our product. For Intel, Dashlane's a great way to show off some of the tech that they've built in their hardware. For Visa, we make every single checkout on the planet 2 clicks. As you can imagine, that's pretty valuable to them, right? The challenge that we had with all of these guys is, you put in like 6 months to get a deal. The internal guys spend another 3 months trying to lock down an email slot, which everybody in the planet wants within that company, right? So we would do one email campaign and get some decent results, but it was nothing groundbreaking. Because with a product like Dashlane that's pretty experiential, complicated, we have a long funnel ourselves. You download the product, you finish creating an account, you inload all your passwords, you add your credit cards. That's a pretty long funnel. And internally at a big company like Amex or really anyone else, it's really hard to become a core product of their strategy when you're just starting off with an email campaign. No big company is going to give you 6 emails, surround sound social media, all those things off the bat. So we were able to sign a bunch of big names because we had value, but we were trying to figure out how do we make ourselves a really core part of their overall strategy? Part of this was good timing that we actually had a Fortune 50 reach out to us and say, hey, we want to take one of the features in your app and put it in this new product that we're building. And we were like, hell yeah, we're in. Great. So they had a pretty good idea of what they wanted to build. And that's when we first kind of started transforming Dashlane into the password manager it is today, but into a full set of SDKs that would basically enable a big company to take one or more of our features and stick it in theirs. We did all the development work, we owned the security, we took all the hard parts, they could build the UI. And what we've learned, and it's been pretty transformative to our business, is we don't really care if someone wants to use the traditional Dashlane UI, that's awesome, we think it's super easy to use. But if they want to use one of our partners who they've trusted and probably been a client of for a really long time, that's great too. Every one of these deals that we do has Powered by Dashlane on it, so we're still getting that brand affiliation, but we're becoming a super core part of their strategy, and we're usually, instead of getting one email, we're now a 3-year product investment.
So a lot of SDK companies, API companies kind of are on a spectrum from super self-service, just like sign up and pay per request, to super high-touch integration. Where are you on that spectrum, and why did you decide to be at that point versus...
It's a really good question, and it's tough. I mean, I would say that, honestly, this answer evolves every day. Part of my role is to stay super close to the market and kind of figure out what our partners are looking for. We were lucky that the first partner we had knew they wanted mobile SDKs to build into their new app. That's pretty straightforward and also, frankly, pretty rare that a big company knows exactly what they want there. So what we've done instead, now that we're in discussions with some big guys, is how do we build a platform that is super flexible, that really limits the amount of custom work we do for each one of these integrations? Because we're a team of 130 people. I have 70 engineers in France. We can't do, I don't care how much money you give us in our next round, we can't build 6 custom products at one time the way that we want to do so at the quality we want to do. So at this point, it's all about prioritization. It's about knowing which deals we can do, which ones make sense for our company. And given that we're a security product and we're super passionate about that, we're actually super selective about who we work with. We want to make sure that we're working with a partner who's building a secure product, building a great experience, because at the end of the day, they are going to see the Powered by Dashlane piece, and we want them to have a good experience. So right now, we're pretty careful, and we're going a little slow and saying, okay, what is the market giving us? But in the future, we would love to have like open SDKs and APIs and everything to allow people to use our tech. But we're probably a few years out from that.
And when you're approaching these deals, it seems like you'll eventually have to get buy-in from product and marketing. Yes. And on the technical side as well. Like, how do you navigate that? Who do you approach first? How do you deal with the office politics that always comes up?
Yeah, that is always the case. So I would say one of the best things I did accidentally was starting my career at Amex, where 90% of the role is navigating the entire organization across different teams like that. So whenever we're prospecting a new company, if we don't have a connection, we'll start there to learn as much as possible, but we start with people that have innovation titles and new product development, someone that is used to kind of herding the different teams together. The second thing that we've done that has been like super critical to our business, because Dashlane is such an experiential product, we invested really a lot of money and time into coming up with like videos, experiential demos, all these different things that someone who maybe isn't the right contact but might know that person can pass it along. Because I don't care, you could do the greatest pitch of your life, even if it's to the right direct person, but a big company, 3 days later when they're in their one-to-one with their boss, they're going to maybe remember 20% of what you said, right? And then when they try to go get the other person involved, they remember 15% of what you said. It's like a giant game of telephone. So we've been able to use our videos and our demos, and we'll put a few custom notes in there for every partner, but we've been able to control our own message within these big companies, and that's really helped us succeed. So you try to do as much upfront prospecting as you can, but it's really critical to make sure you own your message so it doesn't die out and you can arm the right people internally.
And just like adding to that, there's like a storytelling component to making these deals happen. Yeah. What's the story you're telling? What are you trying to get them to agree on?
Yeah. Well, part of it for us is like, I usually run into like maybe one person in a room who's ever heard of Dashlane, and it's a really hard product to understand because you download the app, great, we import your passwords, there's also a digital wallet, by the way, we have the world's greatest semantic engine. It doesn't mean anything. if you have no idea what the product is. So what we choose to do instead is kind of make these what we call scalable demo videos. So I can go in and show a bank partner, hey, we would put your logo on this, and here's a video of your person doing 1 click, auto-filled your shipping, 2 clicks, auto-filled your credit card, and suddenly they're checked out, right? And it's your card. So that has been something that's super compelling to show it actually live in action. And fortunately for us, we started in financial because we knew that world and we know exactly the problem after. We know what we're going to solve. So we'll come in with a video. We'll come in with numbers that we think the impact could have. It's a lot easier for someone to tell you that you're totally off base rather than ask them to make projections. So between those two together, it's been really effective, especially when the cost is pretty minimal to get started.
One of the things, we had a conversation last week, and I think one of the interesting things for me was you'd mentioned how ego plays a role in getting some of these deals done, but it's not necessarily about the company and what the product will do for the company, but there's like an ego component of like helping people to progress in their career, which I guess it's like a cynical part of the game. I'm just curious if you can talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I can tell you after 5 years at Amex, I was talking to startups like every other week, and I loved that part of my job. But I can't tell you how many times companies would come in and say, knowing full well I was on the merchant side of the business, coming up with new solutions for small businesses, they'd say, hey, but we have a really cool benefit that should go on your Platinum card. Honestly, I don't care. Really, I don't care. Like, I would love to be able to help that side of the business. I love helping Amex, but it's not worth my internal capital to figure out how I can navigate 3 orgs over to get to those guys. So it's really important to understand who you're talking to, what their goals are, how you can craft your story towards that. Because at the end of the day, if you're at a giant company, especially like Amex or a bank or something like that, you're looking to progress. So how do you arm that person and help them think about where they want to take their role? Are they looking for, cynically a promotion, but how can you make them seem really strategic and arm them with something that could really transform their business? And a lot of times we'll also come up against the, build versus buy versus partner thing. A lot of new product development guys don't want to say, oh, we got a partner because, we couldn't build this. That's something where we try to arm them and say, we can actually help you move to market faster. You'll have a greater impact on your business. It helps being a security product that not a lot of people want to touch that part. So they're very cool handing it off to us because we have a patent. We've invested in this tech for 7 years. So really arming them to say, here's the strategy, but here's the benefit for you is really important.
How do you structure these deals financially so that you're not spending 6 months trying to talk to this huge bank and then find out somebody moves to another department or people who care don't want to do it anymore? Because especially for startups in the audience that have limited runway, they can't really manage, having to deal with that. So how have you handled that? Yeah,
I mean, it's a really tough question. The way that we've structured our business, our boss is like very aware, and our CEO exec team is very aware that these deals often have an 8-month, 10-month, 12-month sales cycle. So they're super unpredictable, and you have to prepare for that. So we've kept our team super lean. It's the EVP and I working on partnerships. We bring in our engineering team to consult with us to help kind of move those forward. But you can't put too many resources up front if you think that that's going to be like a major investment for you. So we really try to focus on staying lean and moving those through quickly because these guys are super unpredictable. So once we do get in the door, though, we try to make as many connections as possible with our partners. How can we help in this? How can we help with other things? With our deal with Intel, that was supposed to be, hey, we integrate their tech and they give us 30K in Facebook ads. That's basically what it was. And we made ourselves incredibly valuable in PR. We got them an article in PC World talking about our integration. We got written up in TechCrunch about the things that they can't do that we can because we have that speed. And since then, we've grown to do World Password Day. We've done a podcast campaign. We're going to be in their TV commercials. We are their official software partner. So we keep finding ways to make ourselves useful to other people in the orgs, and it helps us stick around.
Do you think if Dashlane started just working on kind of the B2B side, it would have been able to get some of these partnerships, or was the consumer side important in informing the product and then getting buy-in from some of those companies?
Yeah, honestly, the consumer side was everything. Our job as partnerships is easy because we can point to it and say, we have 10 million customers who know and love this product. We have, 5-star reviews everywhere. We have awards from Google, Apple, all these like really big things that people love the product. And at the end of the day, that's why people want to partner with us. We have a perfect track record in security. We have the patent. All these things that we've earned in the consumer business are the reason that these partners trust our tech. I don't think if we came in and appeared kind of like a software dev shop, they'd be cool handing us all their data. It's our track record over 7 years and how good our marketing team is really enabled us to do those. So we're pretty lucky. They make our jobs easier.
Are there any kind of tactics or strategies you've seen other companies in the space who've had SDKs that they've used that you thought were effective that maybe aren't applicable to Dashlane that you think would be helpful?
Yeah, one of the things that we would love to, we're just not there yet. A lot of big companies will come to me and say, cool, we want to take your APIs, your SDKs or whatever, stick them in our app, and then, what can we customize? And the short answer is they're looking for something like, here's a full menu, here's all the different things you can do. They want to take it back to their boss and figure out the deal. We're not at a point yet where we have a very good answer to that because everything that we're doing is custom and moving and depends on the deal, and it depends if we have 3 other ones so we can build it once. So that's something that a lot of companies look for, and it's a little challenging that we don't have that available yet. So it's something we're working on, but that's a space we would love to get to be successful here.
Awesome. We've got 1 minute left. Is there any questions from the crowd? Interested?
So the question was if we're essentially earning revenue up front or if it's more a land and expand strategy, and the short answer, it's both. So with the marketing deals, a lot of guys like Intel, Visa, those all started as basic marketing deals that we've then just grown by making ourselves incredibly useful in other things and providing them other products. On the other side, for most of the product partnerships, we negotiated them to have some kind of upfront payment. Just because we had to cover the custom dev. Otherwise, those guys would have been, we couldn't prioritize the work based on everything that was core to the business. So usually that model was upfront custom dev and then ongoing payments to make sure we could participate in the upside, but also as we delivered the tech. One thing that's a little different about us is that we are very willing to accept payments on alpha, beta, final deliveries because we're so confident in our engineering team. And that helps us shoulder a little bit of the risk. When a lot of these big guys are putting $10 million in a product, they're very nervous that we're gonna miss a delivery. So we're willing to make them a little bit more confident in us and kind of spread those payments over time. So usually there's a lot of different invoicing. Last project we did, we took 10 different invoices at different phases of the project just to make them more comfortable, and it's a little easier to swallow. Awesome. Thanks.
My question is on the marketing deals side. We all start off, we do those deals, we all start off with an email or social campaign.
Yeah.
And the click-through rates are incredibly usually low, even if it goes out to millions and millions of people.
Yep.
What have you done outside of those standard kind of motions that you think that we should try? What do you want to do?
It's a really good question. So the question is about kind of low click-through rates in email and having those kind of one-time campaigns. What else can you do? PR has been a huge weapon for us because a lot of our big companies that we want to work with, like my guys at Intel, if they wanted to do PR, they would have to go to 6 different people, get something approved, then they have to go to the press release, and by then it's done. Nobody cares, right? I can go to my CEO, he's 6 feet away, draft them a press release, include their quote, get it approved, and we're in TechCrunch. So that's something that's been really valuable for a lot of these partners who want to talk about their individual tech to move fast. Other ways we've done a lot of co-branded commercials, kind of stuff like that, but it's about leveraging what we can do in marketing that those big guys can't, which is usually our speed.
I think that's our time. Thank you so much.
Cool. Thanks, guys.